Namandaps, namandaps, namandaps.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our regular Sunday service. Can you all hear me on Zoom? Yes, okay, good. So welcome. It's nice to have people here at the temple, as well as those from Zoom. We're still getting quite a number joining us every week on Zoom. So welcome to all of you. And we'll begin this morning's service with a moment of silent meditation, followed by the recitation of the name of the Buddha or the Nembutsu.
Please join me in Gasho. Namandaps, 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 namandaps. Next, we will have the reading of the homage and three treasures. So if you're here in the Hondo, that's on page 11 of your books. There is a little bit of a difference between the two, the book and here. In the book, in the three treasures, it says, where it says this, we go to the Sangha for guidance. It says, may we all with one accord live the life of harmony in the spirit of brotherhood, I believe it says. But it's been changed to oneness, the spirit of oneness. Oh, just to point out that change that we have. So we'll read the homage and three treasures then. Homage. Hard it is to be born into human life. Now we are living it. Difficult it is to hear the teachings of the Blessed One. Now we are hearing them. If we do not gain emancipation in the present life, we may not be free from sorrow in the ocean of births and deaths. Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures. We go to the Buddha for guidance. May we always walk in the way that leads to enlightenment. Everyone? We go to the Buddha for guidance. May we always walk in the way that leads to enlightenment. We go to the Dharma for guidance. May we be submerged in the depth of the teachings and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. Everyone? We go to the Dharma for guidance. May we be submerged in the depth of the teachings and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. We go to the Sangha for guidance. May we all with one accord live the life of harmony in the spirit of oneness, free from the bondage of selfishness. We go to the Sangha for guidance. May we all with one accord live the life of harmony in the spirit of oneness, free from the bondage of selfishness. Even through myriads of kalpas, hard it is to hear such excellent and profound teachings. Now we are able to hear and receive them. Let us try to understand the Tathagata's teachings. Okay, next we will have the sutra chanting, and we're going to be chanting the Junirai. It's on page 63 of your purple seiten, or it's also on the screen, and those are you by Zoom, it's also on the screen. Namandaps, 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 namandaps.
Je
사드대여로 이시세 머무며지 고가조라이미다소 이섬부세뜸 악으며 야금은 연이 악으노 주니 시신여이소 고가조라이미다소 이섬으려 뱅겨 무조시 악지지기 오조흐 다이시보다이 고가조라이미다소 가세드 이성의 도그지 주샘은 여가이스의 쇼약의생어 쇼조샤 에세슈 조쇼히고 Please join me as I read the English translation of the 12 adorations. And bring it up on the screen there. So 12 adorations, Junirai translation. Before Amida Buddha, whom heavenly beings worship, I humble myself in deepest reverence. In his wondrous land of bliss, surrounded is he by countless bodhisattvas. His golden form shines forth pure like the king of Mount Sumeru. His practice of truth is steadfast like an elephant's pace. His eyes radiate like pure blue lotus blossoms. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. His countenance is perfectly pure and round like the full moon. His majestic light shines like 1,000 suns and moons. His voice is like a heavenly drum, yet like a heavenly bird, kokila. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. Avalokiteshvara wears upon his crown the image of Amida adorned with many precious jewels. He subdues the arrogance of demons and heretics. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. Incomparable, vast and pure his virtues are, clearly extending like vast open space, his acts freely benefiting all. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. Bodhisattvas from the 10 quarters and countless Maras, demons, always venerate him. He dwells with vow power for the sake of all beings. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. In the golden treasure pond where the lotus flowers bloom, established with goodness is a wondrous throne, where reigns the Buddha like the king of the mounts. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. From the 10 quarters, bodhisattvas come, revealing wondrous powers, they attain blissful state. Honoring his face, they offer eternal homage. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. All things are transient without self, like the moon on water, lightning, shadow, or the dew. The Dharma cannot be expressed by words, the Buddha proclaimed. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. No words of evil are in his land, no fear of evildoers, nor evil paths. With sincere heart, all beings worship him. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. His land of infinite expediencies is without degenerate things or wicked beings. Upon rebirth, non-retrogressive Bodhi does one attain. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. Thus have I praised the virtues of Amida Buddha. Boundless are they like the water of the sea. Upon receiving these pure and good qualities, may all beings be reborn into his land. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. This and here's the first section. Sorry, I used the one computer in front of me as sort of a monitor, and I lost the screen. So, can you all hear me again at home? Yes. Okay. Good. Once again, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us for our service. And today, I wanted to actually share with you. I'll be showing you a couple of pictures in a second, but over my many years coming and going to Japan, I've had the good fortune to do some traveling while I was in Japan. And one of my favorite things is, if I get the opportunity, is to go and see different either temples or relics. And there's a couple that really stick out in my mind. Well, one of them was, I don't even remember how many years ago it was. It must be over 20 years ago, I suppose. When I was visiting my wife's family in Kyushu, in Oita, her brother and I took sort of a road trip, boys road trip, just the two of us. And we went to see, in the same prefecture, Oita, there is they're called Kumano Magaibutsu. Is a place where they have these statues that are carved in the middle of a mountain. Okay, and I will bring that up. Now, let me just share this. I will bring that up on the screen now.
So here's a picture of, wait a minute. How come I don't see it on here? So you can all see that, can you not? Okay. Yeah. So this is in a place called Kumano Magaibutsu. Magaibutsu is the carvings in the cliffs, if you will. And when you go there, these are, it doesn't seem to be in the picture, but they're about maybe 10 meters high. They're very big. Okay. And what's interesting about this one here is that you have two of them sort of side by side. You have one that is rather fierce looking. And let me just go down here. So this one here, okay. And that is a carving of Emma, who is sort of the lord of the underworld, if you will. And beside that one is something more, a little more serene. You have the carving of the Buddha. Now, over the years, with the elements, a lot of it has washed away. So, but you can still see very clearly the facial features here. So this one here is quite serene looking, right? Oops, sorry. Yeah. So, and then the other one. Well, so when you go there, because we went by car, it took us maybe about 4 hours from her place to get to this particular place. And because of automobiles, you go, there's a parking lot and then you walk up, maybe half an hour walk up to where this is. But back in the day, you could imagine, having to walk to these places. They're in the middle of nowhere, basically. And you kind of wonder why in the middle of nowhere are such things, these, it's, I guess, basically, right? And what it is that, so there were some monks who did this as their practice, if you will. So they basically, went to these very remote areas, and this was part of their practice, was to carve these images. But they're also there for the travelers. So as we go there, they are there to make us reflect on life. And of course, unlike today, there was actually a path. Like this was a part of a roadway, very remote roadway, but nonetheless roadway, path where people would walk, by. And so as the travelers would walk by, it was for them to reflect on things. So in this case, reflecting on both the hardships or the negatives, if you will, if you do bad deeds, that you're going to be, having to go to the underworld, if you will, and this Emma-san would be sort of the person that would be sort of almost judging, if you will, and yet there's this very serene Buddha beside it. So reminding us, so even on our paths, our journeys, that we have to behave or we have to act appropriately. The other one I wanted to share with you was this one. Not these, was this one here. Okay. And this is in Nikko, in eastern Japan. I got an opportunity to go there a couple times, and the first time I went here was back in 1994. Myself and my cousin Akira were leaders on the youth trip, taking youth from Canada to Japan. And we happened to stay one night in a small I guess today it would almost be considered like a bed. Well, they call it a pension. It's an inn. It's called the Turtle Inn in Nikko. And one morning while we were there, my cousin and I decided to go for a walk, morning walk. And the owner of the inn said, well, if you go to, up the road a ways, you'll come across this temple. So we decided we'd go for this walk. Now, Nikko is very famous not for this, but there is I should have brought up the picture. There's a very famous shrine where the former shogun Tokugawa Ieyasu, his remains are enshrined. His tomb is in Nikko. Okay, and there's a very famous, so where he is enshrined is a temple called Toshogu. And one of the more famous things for that is that there's a carving on one of the temples of 3 monkeys. The old adage that hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil? Well, it comes from there are 3 carvings, and you have monkeys that have one's like this, and one's like this, and one's like this, right? But anyway, so Nikko is very famous for the tomb of Tokugawa Ieyasu. So this particular place is really unknown. It's off the beaten map. And so my cousin and I just happened to go for a morning walk when we were told of this temple, and we visited where this temple was. And behind the temple was this pathway, and that's where these statues were lined up. And what I found out subsequently, and I did show the other side of this. On the other side of this path is a gorge, a beautiful gorge with a river running down it. So it's a real picturesque spot. I think I think it's one of the more beautiful sites of Japan. But these statues are all statues of what we call Jizo Bosatsu. So here's a closer picture of a couple of them. Okay, and these Jizo are supposed to be. There's several things. One is they are guardians of children, and also unborn children. So mothers who have had either abortions or miscarriages. So these Jizo are supposed to be protectors of children, but they're also protectors of travelers. Okay, protectors of travelers. So what I found out was that this path, although it's not used today, maybe it is still being used. This path is actually one of the entrances to the village of Nikko. And so as the travelers would come, or people coming to worship the tomb of Tokugawa Ieyasu, they would be walking by foot coming into this village, and they would be greeted by all these Jizo Bosatsu. And you can see over time they've been worn, and this one's even lost its head. You see the red cap on it. But they're supposed to protect travelers. Okay? So anyways, the reason why I wanted to share this, and I'm going to stop sharing now. So the reason why I wanted to share all that with you was this is part of the Buddhist teachings to protect, to give refuge to travelers. So another very famous one, and it's quite a while back now, but you're all familiar with the Bamiyan Buddhas that were blown up by the Taliban. That was 20-something years ago. Again, the Bamiyan Buddhas were very, very large images or statues in the cliffs, and you were able to see them from kilometers away, very far distance. And again, when the travelers, they were on the route of what we call the Silk Road. And when the travelers would see these Buddhas, they knew there was a place of refuge, a place to get rest, a place to rejuvenate ourselves. And so when we think of these travelers, in fact, in Buddhism, it talks about our lives being a journey. So we are, in fact, each one of us are travelers. And so whenever we come to the temple or when we attend services, it's to rejuvenate, to get refuge. So during a busy week, all of us have running around. In fact, this past week has been quite busy for myself, to the point where I had forgotten it was our newsletter weekend as well. So yesterday, day before, many things going on. But whenever we come to the temple, when we attend the service, it is a way for us to rejuvenate, to refresh ourselves, to ground ourselves again, to have foundation so we could have a fresh start to the week, so we could go out again, rejuvenated. When we come here, and that's why when we do the service, we always start off with the sutra chanting. And the sutra chanting helps us to calm ourselves, to focus ourselves, so that we can listen to the Dharma. And just as those statues were protecting the travelers or giving thought on our journey, our Buddhist teachings, the Nembutsu teachings, help us reflect, help us see ourselves in our daily lives. And so I hope that throughout your week, you can think, if you have a very difficult time or busy time, that you can reflect. And by putting our hands together to calm ourselves down and realize the Dharma is always shining upon us. The Dharma is always working upon us. And as we share together on the Sunday service, it's a time for collectively for us to listen and to rejuvenate and to breathe again so that we can start another week. When I first started my ministry, I had a lot more props because my kids were young. So sometimes I would bring their toys in to show. And one of the props that I had, and I haven't had it for a number of years now, was one of those, have you ever seen those wind up toys where you pull the string and then you let go of the string and the toy does something, right? Well, as the string winds down, the toy stops, right? So in a way, it's like every week we come to the temple, we pull a string, and then we get rejuvenated so that we could go on for another. It's a lot better when you have the actual toy with you, but my kids are now all adults and I don't have those toys. So I don't have those props, but so when we come again, it is a time for us to rejuvenate, for reflection, for us to see how the Dharma is constantly there with us, aiding us. So I'd like to ask you to please join me as we close today's service with Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you very much, and thank you to those who joined by Zoom. Next week is our Shotsuki monthly memorial service for February. In conjunction, we also will be observing the Nirvana Day service, which is a service to commemorate the passing of the historical Buddha. Also, at the end of February, we have our annual general meeting. So for those of you who are here locally, if you wish to join us, please come and join us for our annual general meeting. On the 19th of February, the Fujinkai is having their annual general meeting after the service. So 19th Fujinkai general meeting, and 26th is the temple general meeting. Again, thank you all, and please enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you, Sensei.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good week. We ready to go?
Okay, thanks everyone.
Thank you, Sensei.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good week.
Thank you for joining us, Grisabella. First time you're joining us, so thank you for joining.
Thank you, Sensei.
Okay.
Thank you, Sensei.
Bye, all my family.